Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a look at the StormAudio ISR Fusion 20. When it comes to audio setups, you've got two main approaches. Integrated amplifiers, which combine everything into one, and separates, where your preamp and your power amp are, well, separate. Separates usually give you more customization and higher end performance, but they also come with more complexity. Extra wiring, more components, and often a higher price tag. But what if you want that high-end experience without all the hassle? That's exactly what StormAudio is going for with the ISR Fusion 20. It's built on StormAudio's ISP Evo processor and features 20 channels of processing with 16 channels of built-in amplification using Class D Ice Power Edge Amp modules. Each channel delivers 150 watts into 8 ohms or 300 watts into 4 ohms. But if you need even more power, you can bridge 3 channels to deliver 500 watts into both 8 and 4 ohms. The receiver supports all the major audio formats such as Dolby Atmos, DTS:X, IMAX Enhanced, Auro 3D, and even more. On the video side, it supports 8K pass-through and 4K at 120 Hz, along with HDR10+, Dolby Vision, and HLG. So no matter what you're watching, you're covered. Right out of the box, the ISR Fusion 20 has a clean industrial design that feels high-end. The front panel features a glossy black center with a brushed aluminum faceplate, giving it a minimalist but premium look. Right in the middle, you've got a bright LED screen that shows your volume, audio format, and selected profile. The display even has customization options like brightness adjustment, you can view meters for each channel, and there's a zoom feature to make volume changes easier to see. To the right of that, there's a large volume dial that also acts as a select and mute button, and next to that, a set of metal navigation buttons. It's relatively light, weighing 37 pounds, which is probably due to the Class D Ice Power amps. If you plan on rack mounting it, it takes up 4U of space, and StormAudio does include rack ears in the box. There are 3 fans on the sides that briefly spin up during startup and shutdown. When powered on though, the fans were virtually silent, even when pushing the unit. Moving to the back, StormAudio did not skimp on any connections. You've got 7 HDMI 2.1 inputs and 2 HDMI 2.1 outputs, one with eARC. The receiver also includes 3 optical Toslink inputs, 3 coaxial inputs, 2 USB ports, and a single Toslink output for a Zone 2. Toward the right side of the rear panel are 4 XLR outputs, labeled 17 through 20, while the 16 speaker outputs run along the bottom. For control, you've got a few options. StormAudio includes a basic remote, but let's be honest, most people investing in this are using a control system like Crestron, Control4, or even Savant. If you're not using a control system, you can use the Storm Remote app, which is available on iOS and Android, or the web UI, which gives you full access to the system settings, input assignments, and speaker configurations. Setting up the ISR Fusion 20 is straightforward, but highly customizable. When you first power it on and access the web UI, you'll be given 2 setup options, a basic setup or an expert setup. The basic setup walks you through everything step by step, perfect for anyone who just wants to get up and running quickly. Expert setup, on the other hand, gives you full control over all system parameters, making it ideal for enthusiasts and integrators. One thing to note, StormAudio's speaker configuration layout is slightly different from RP22 standards. It categorizes channels into base layers, subwoofers, height speakers, and top speakers. So for example, in my setup, I'm running a 7.2.4 Martin Logan system. Normally, this would be labeled 7.2.4, but in the StormAudio GUI, it displays it as 7.2.0.4 since I'm using top speakers instead of height speakers. Not a huge deal, but something worth noting. The ISR Fusion 20 features 3 levels of Dirac Live tuning. The first one, Dirac Live Room Correction, which is a basic frequency response tuning. The second one is Dirac Live Bass Control, which adds subwoofer optimization. The third one is Dirac Live Active Room Treatment, also known as ART. This is the most advanced option, using multiple speakers to actively cancel out room reflections. For this review, I used a mini DSP UMIC 1 to run full calibration, and I'll say this, Dirac ART made a massive difference. So when you go into StormAudio's UI, you'll see tabs on the left side for system, main speakers, settings, all of that. Under the Inputs tab, this is where you can customize inputs as well as triggers. Then you have your Main Speakers tab. This is where you can define speaker arrangement for your room and assign each speaker to the correct numbered output. The nice thing here is if you accidentally assign a speaker to the wrong output, you can fix it directly here in the UI without having to disconnect any cables from the back of the unit. If you click Edit Your Theater, this is where you can do most of the adjustments. You can also select the different profiles you have saved in the unit. As you can see here, I have a couple for art, a bass EQ, as well as regular Dirac Live room correction, and one for Dirac Live with bass control. If you hit this settings button, there's an option in the UI that allows you to tweak individual speaker settings and adjust the EQ if there's anything you're not satisfied with. This is where I used a mix between REW and Smart Suite to adjust my EQs before and after calibration. You also have the option to do it for each speaker with different EQs. Under the Settings tab, this is where you'll find settings for CEC control and also IMAX Enhanced. Since this receiver is IMAX Enhanced certified, StormAudio gives you the option to either follow the IMAX bass management specs or use your own custom bass settings. You can also set the front panel brightness from here and set time delays for trigger outputs. You can even change the active state of the trigger from 12 volts to 0 volts. You would do this if your integrator wired it backwards and you don't want to wait a couple of days for them to come back and fix it. On the bottom, this is where you can set your audio and video delay. From here is the presets tab, which you can see all my different presets. One for art, one for room correction, and one for bass control. Under the monitor tab, you can view live voltage readings for the power rails and even check all the diagnostics that the system ran during boot up, such as the fan power and amplifier rail performance. Last but definitely not least is the remote control section. This allows you to manage just about everything from changing sources and presets to adjusting the volume, triggers, and even upmixing audio. There's also quick adjustments for specific channels such as the center, surround, and LFE. On the left side, you'll also see an LFE dim button, which lowers bass by 10 dB. There's also an option, volume dim, right above that lowers the volume by a set range. I believe the default is 20 dB without muting the sound completely. And that's the look of the StormAudio web UI. Now let's talk about sound quality. I started my listening test with Bridge of Tears, the 2024 remaster by Cland. The moment the guitar string hits, it was clear that this receiver was on another level. With art enabled, my surrounds and rears, while not actively playing, supported the front speakers to create somewhat of a U-shaped soundstage. The snap of the guitar string at 11 seconds into the track felt as though it was coming from behind me, even though it originated from my front right speaker. For movies, I started with the Batman's Batmobile chase scene. Explosions and tire screeches moved around my room, making full use of the receiver's 20-channel processing. The bass impact when the Batmobile crashes into Penguin's car was so strong that I actually felt it in my chest. While watching A Quiet Place Part 2, the opening scene really stood out. The mix of silence and sudden bursts of sound felt realistic, with details like rustling leaves and distant footsteps surrounding you. This movie is a great example of how the ISR Fusion 20 handles dynamic soundtracks. At $19,999, there's no denying that it's certainly not cheap. But if you've got the budget, it delivers an experience that's pretty hard to match. It feels more like a high-end separate system packed into a single unit and is capable of handling the most demanding setups. For these reasons, the StormAudio ISR Fusion 20 gets the highest recommendation I can give and earns an AVS Forum Top Choice for 2025. If you found this review helpful, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.